What's up, Green Bay Packers fans? Welcome back. As always, thank you for joining me. My name is Paul Brettel. Today we're here again to discuss the Green Bay Packers offensive line, specifically Jordan Morgan competing at the left tackle spot. But first, before we dive into all that, you know what to do. Hit like on the video, hit subscribe to the YouTube channel. I do greatly appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter at Paul_Brettel. Find all my work over at ESPNLacrosse.com and my Wisconsin sports radio fans, Packers, Brewers, Bucks, Badgers. Download the 105.5 ESPN Lacrosse app. So Jordan Morgan, he's going to be competing OTAs, training camp, preseason, however long the Packers feel that competition needs to go on at left tackle with Rasheed Walker. Matt LaFleur met with media members at the NFL's annual league meeting on Tuesday morning, and this topic of conversation obviously came up, and Matt LaFleur said it's going to be a great competition, referencing Jordan Morgan and Rasheed Walker at left tackle, added the two are going to battle it out and hopefully push each other to be better. Now, the left tackle spot, Jordan Morgan's natural position. According to Pro Football Focus, Jordan Morgan at Arizona in his college career played 2,404 snaps. Of those total snaps, 2,392, all but 12, came at the left tackle spot. It's his natural position. That's where he is the most comfortable. However, despite that being the case, very quickly during his time with the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Morgan was moved to right guard and he was competing with Sean Ryan for playing time. Now, right away when Morgan was drafted and Brian Gutekunst comes in to answer questions about the draft selection in that first round, he made it known right away that the Packers viewed Morgan as someone who could make the transition to guard at the NFL level. And again, he provided that versatility, has the athleticism that we know they covet, but has that versatility to play multiple positions along the offensive line, an element that's obviously very valuable to the Packers when it comes to building out their offensive line. And when we look at, despite Morgan being a tackle throughout his college career, why did he end up at right guard so quickly with very little opportunity to establish himself as a tackle at the NFL level? I think we just look at the state of the Packers offensive line a year ago. You have Rasheed Walker, who was coming off basically a full season in 2023 as a starter at that left tackle spot. And then you had Sean Ryan at right guard. In terms of just uncertainty between those two players a year ago at this time, far more at the right guard position. So you give your first round pick, a player you've obviously invested a premium draft pick in, an opportunity to go start at that position, to go earn playing time at a position where you think there's a bigger need. And frankly, because he's a first round pick, the opportunity where you think he has the best opportunity to go and win the job. Now, there was a big learning curve for Jordan Morgan a year ago, moving from tackle to guard. And that learning curve starts as it is for any rookie, right? You're making the jump from college to the NFL. Different playbook. You're adjusting to the pace of the game, the speed of the players, the strength of the defenders that you're up against, how to just manage your day-to-day, your week-to-week to put yourself in the best position to succeed. Every single rookie goes through that learning curve. But for Jordan Morgan, his learning curve, there were some additional components to it. First, he was making a position change. He was moving from tackle to guard, where things happen a lot more quickly. He was also moving from the left side of the offensive line to the right side. And do not overlook the difficulty that comes with that. In the article version of this topic that we're covering today, you can find the full quotes from Jordan Morgan. But last summer, had a conversation with him and just asked him how this position change was going. What's it like moving from the tackle spot to the guard spot? And he said, of course, you're in a 3-point stance as a guard versus at the tackle spot. Everything happens so much more quickly along the interior than it does at that tackle spot. You have to get your hands on the defender immediately, and the timing of everything at guard versus tackle is very different. As far as moving from the left side of the line to the right side of the line, the technique is different, your footwork is different, your hand place is different. One example that Morgan gave was, as a left tackle, it becomes second nature to punch with your left hand at the defender. Now on the right side of the line, it's using your right hand. And that sounds small, but all these reps, everything that you've done years and years, practice after practice after practice, rep after rep after rep, is basically being flipped, right? The footwork, the hand placement, the movements is all changing just because you're on a different side of the offensive line. So again, let's not overlook that element of it as well. And all of that played into the learning curve that he went through as a rookie making that position change. Now, unfortunately, a shoulder injury was an unfortunate part of what Jordan Morgan had to deal with during his rookie season. he sustained it over the summer, so he missed practice time, missed all 3 preseason games, and then it ultimately landed him on IR during the second half of the season. So in total, he finished his regular season as a rookie with 186 snaps. This included 1 start in Week 9 against the Detroit Lions. That was the game Josh Myers was out, so Elton Jenkins moved to center, Sean Ryan moved to left guard, and then Jordan Morgan slotted in at right guard. And he was in a rotation when he was on the field with Sean Ryan at that right guard spot, but that was a rotation that was dominated by Sean Ryan. It was typically it was Ryan playing 2 possessions and Morgan would come in for 1. 2 possessions for Ryan, Morgan would come in for 1. So the shoulder injury set him back. The position change was a part of the transition. But as we look ahead to 2025, he's going to have the opportunity to go show that he can be a tackle at the NFL level. Now for Rasheed Walker, despite there being on draft night in 2024, some initial uncertainty about what was ahead for him during the 2024 season, as I mentioned above, any sort of notions, talking points, pontification about whether Rasheed Walker was going to start at left tackle were quickly put to bed last offseason, as I mentioned. It might have been the first 1, 2, 3 practices of OTAs where we saw Jordan Morgan at the left tackle spot here and there, but he was a right guard from almost the get-go last season. And as we reflect on Rasheed Walker's performance during the 2024 season, I think we could call it steady, right? And as always, our disclaimer, Pro Football Focus's metrics are not the be-all, end-all. ESPN, whatever metrics we are using for our talking points are not the be-all, end-all. It's one evaluation tool out of many that are out there, including our eyes, and should be treated as such. However, I think it can be valuable for comparison's sake relative to a player in how they performed compared to their position group. So according to Pro Football Focus numbers, Rasheed Walker surrendered just 3 sacks and only 4 quarterback hits last season. He did give up 35 pressures, however, and penalties, if you recall, were an issue early on in the year, but those did get cleaned up as the year went on. Now, compared to his position group, Walker ranked 45th out of 87 eligible tackles in PFF's pass blocking efficiency metric, which is how often are you giving up a pressure relative to the number of pass blocking snaps that you have. So again, he ranked 45th out of 87 tackles in that regard. In run blocking grade, for what it's worth, Walker ranked 69th in that category among tackles. Now, when it comes to the Packers' decision to have Morgan compete with Walker for that starting left tackle role, I don't think we can overlook the long-term component of where the Packers stand with the offensive line unit. Rasheed Walker is entering the final year of his deal. Zach Tom entering the final year of his deal, and is someone I think we all consider a strong contract extension candidate sometime within the next year before the next free agency period begins. Elton Jenkins, he has 2 years left on his contract. Assuming he's going to play well at the center position, which I think we all expect from him, he becomes an extension candidate next offseason. Aaron Banks, the Packers just invested heavily into him into free agency. It's the reality of the NFL and the salary cap league. You cannot pay everyone. You need key contributors, and this just isn't an offensive line conversation. This is throughout your entire team conversation. But you need key contributors on rookie deals. And the Packers, again, all those players we just mentioned, they cannot pay everyone. The Packers, it would be in their best interest for Jordan Morgan, again, on a rookie deal, to prove to be a capable, high-end starter, especially if it's at a left tackle spot, one of the most important positions in the game. And maybe that doesn't happen this year, but again, looking ahead to next offseason where you have Tom, Walker, Sean Ryan, all 3 are free agents, having Morgan emerge and be able to take over that role, again, whether it's this year or next, would be extremely valuable for the offensive line, not just from a playing standpoint on the field, but from a roster construction component as well. So I think that long-term component along the offensive line, the salary cap situation, contracts that are coming up, is an important element to this as well. Now, generally speaking, the competition component, not just along the offensive line, but the entire roster for the Packers has been a key element for these last 2 seasons. It's been a catalyst. Brian Gutekunst has talked about towards the growth that we've seen from this young Packers team, and they want to continue to lean into that again with this competition at the left tackle spot. We talk about it all the time here. We're all focusing right on Jordan Love, the wide receivers, the passing game. How do they get that back on track? Let's not forget, success for the offense, and this is football in general, starts up front, starts with the offensive line play, starts with having a strong run game to lean on, so the passing game isn't stuck in predictable passing downs, 2nd and 8, 3rd and 10 situations. It starts with giving Jordan Love time in the pocket so he can operate within the timing rhythm of the play and go through his progression. So success starts up front. And like I mentioned, Walker's provided this offensive line stability. If there wasn't any competition at the left tackle spot this summer, I'm going to guess that most of us wouldn't really blink an eye, right? We would be comfortable going into the upcoming season with Rasheed Walker as the Green Bay Packers starting left tackle. But whether it's right or wrong, indifferent, Jordan Morgan is a first-round pick. And as a first-round pick, you will get just about every opportunity that's out there to prove that you should be on the field and that you should be out there competing and earning playing time. So that's what the Packers are going to give him the opportunity to do. And this is a big, big year for Rasheed Walker. I mean, just an extra motivator for him with this competition because he's going into a contract year. And his contract next offseason, whether it's with the Packers or someone else, will obviously look very different if he's coming off a 2025 season where he's, again, 3rd year in a row, a full-time starter at left tackle, or if he's coming off the bench. So this is a big, big year for Rasheed Walker and what's next for him in his career, again, whether it's with the Packers or if it's playing somewhere else next offseason. Now, before we get out of here, I'm not going to get too into the weeds on this conversation because I know I've covered it in a lot of other videos, but as we look at where this Packers offensive line unit as a whole can get better, and perhaps this ends up being a differentiator, right, as the competition between Morgan and Walker unfolds at left tackle. But where the Green Bay Packers offensive line unit can get better is in the run game. And they were very, very good last season in pass protection, ranked 7th in ESPN's pass block win rate metric. Jordan Love, the most blitz quarterback in football during the regular season by PFF metrics, was still the 23rd ranked quarterback in terms of pressure rate on him. Pass protection-wise, this group held up very well, but the opportunity comes in being able to generate those big running plays. Josh Jacobs ranked 32nd in the NFL in breakaway rate last year. That's how often as a running back are you generating a run of 15 or more yards. And as I said on yesterday's video, to me, that's not a Josh Jacobs stat. We know he has the ability to make defenders miss. We know what he can do in space. We've seen him a ton last season turn runs that look like nothing's there into something. This is an offensive line stat. This is helping Jacobs get to the second level more cleanly, more often, so he has the ability to then generate those runs. And I think the interior offensive line, you add Aaron Banks to the mix, who's the run blocking game, the gap run blocking game, that's a strength of his. You have Elton Jenkins at center over Josh Myers. Run blocking wise, that's an upgrade. So I think that component of it, just something to keep in mind, again, as we watch this competition at left tackle unfold, something to keep our eyes on. Because, again, how they perform in the run game, Walker or Morgan could be a differentiator when it comes to, all right, who's starting at that position come week 1. So there you have it, my friends. Again, as always, I appreciate you tuning in. Hit like in the video, hit subscribe on the YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter, Paul_Brettel. Find all my work over at ESPNlacrosse.com and download the 105.5 ESPN Lacrosse app. Till next time, friends, take care.